Hello, welcome back tuning into today's first video, doing the 5-day forecast for today's first video, as always, on a Wednesday. Later on, we'll have a look at the Beijing Climate Centre for the coming month, actually extending out for 40 days. And if things blow up this afternoon, we might do Storm Watch as well. Just depends how those showers get going this afternoon. As I say, this is the 5-day forecast. We'll have a detailed look at where the next 5 days across the British Isles. It's going to be an unsettled 5-day forecast period with bands of rain coming through throughout the 5 days, really. So it'll be a case of keep your brolly handy, I think, if you're off out and about over the next few days. Before I get on with 5-day forecast, just say about the ads. There's links to articles on all the pages. Have a browse widgets and click through the links. If there's any articles that you're interested in, thanks so much for doing that. There's video ads, most pages. But open up the content when you watch, going to close back up again. It helps to pay for the website. Website's using full 5-day forecast coming from theweatherout.com and weathercentre.de. Find links to both websites on the links page. So this is the current radar picture from the Weather Outlook, and we've got a band of rain here coming across England and Wales, so that's quite heavy and persistent. That'll be pushing eastwards through England and Wales, and then you see these vibrant colours following behind into South Wales and southwest England. Those are heavy thundery showers, and that's indicative of what will be happening this afternoon once you get rid of this main band of rain to the east. We're going to have a lot of heavy downpours coming through today. There is rain up across Scotland, but it's more showery and sporadic up there, and particularly focused on the far north of Scotland. So the synoptic pressure chart today shows low pressure right over the top of the country. It's going to be an unsettled day. And we're going to find this band of rain then moving across England and Wales through the course of this morning, something quite heavy and persistent. Then it'll turn dry for a time, but then we'll get these heavy showers and possibly thunderstorms breaking out this afternoon. And we'll have to wait and see how widespread those are, but potentially there could be some big downpours this afternoon, slow moving as well. There's not a great deal of wind to blow things through. The isobars very spaced out there. So showers, longer spells of rain, could be thunder mixed in with some hail as well, particularly focused on England and Wales. For Scotland and Northern Ireland, there will be showers coming through, and the far north of Scotland currently has showery bursts of rain, but I think it'll be less wet, less unsettled, if you like, up there today. Temperatures possibly up to around 16 or 17 degrees, so they're not doing too bad really despite the rain. It's going to be a fairly warmish day. Through to tonight, that low pressure is clearing away to the east, and the next low pressure is waiting in the wings to the west. We'll start off with further showery bursts of rain across the country this evening, but I think most of that will die out through the course of the night, possibly keeping some going in the southeast and around coast, but most places will turn dry, I think, tonight. And it'll be a fairly mild night as well, with temperatures between around 5 and 10 Celsius. By the end of the night, though, this low pressure will be starting to move more cloud and rain in towards Ireland and western Scotland. And then that low pressure moves in from the west as we go through into Thursday. So we'll find outbreaks of rain become increasingly heavy and widespread across Scotland, Northern Ireland, possibly northwestern parts of England through the course of Thursday. Further south, the rest of England and Wales will stay mostly dry, with good sunny spells in the morning, but I think it'll probably cloud over increasingly through the course of the afternoon. There could be a few showers breaking out across England and Wales on Thursday afternoon, just because the cloud is thickening up. Temperatures in the south will be quite warm, though, that's around 19 or 20 degrees. 20 is around 68 Fahrenheit. It'll be cooler in the north with the cloud and outbreaks of rain, 16 or 17 degrees up there. And then things turn even more unsettled, if it's possible, on Friday with the next day of low pressure waiting out to the west, but moving in through the course of the day. Probably starting off with Thursday's leftover rain across parts of Scotland and northeast England. That should get away through the day. Then we'll have a drier, brighter interlude before more cloud and rain on a freshening southwesterly wind starts to roll in towards Ireland and southwestern England. Temperatures on Friday again at around 18 or 19 degrees. In the southeast. In the north, we're going to be up to around, let's say, 15 or 16 across parts of Scotland. Low pressure will move in from the west through the course of Friday night into Saturday, so all places will turn very wet overnight, Friday and Saturday, with outbreaks of heavy rain in places. As we go through into Saturday, low pressure remains in control. So we'll start off with a lot of rain through the country on Saturday morning, That will push northwards, I think, through the course of the day. So Scotland, Northern Ireland, northeastern England, possibly hanging on to rain throughout much of the day. The rest of England and Wales, I think, will turn drier and maybe a little bit brighter, and bright skies pushing up from the south during the day. But by the end of Saturday, we'll find the next bout of rain starting to move in from the south and west, and that will become heavy and widespread overnight on Saturday night. Temperatures, again, up to around 17, 18, 19 degrees, so no problems with temperatures. Quite a warm spell over the next few days, despite the fact there's going to be a lot of rain. And we get through into Sunday. The unsettled weather keeps going, I'm afraid, for the weekend, with low pressure up to the north of Scotland, generally around the UK. Again, we start off with quite a lot of rain on Sunday morning. Some of it will be heavy and persistent. I think with time it'll push northwards and eastwards, get out of the way, and then we'll have sunshine and showers probably on Sunday afternoon. Some of those could be heavy and thundery. Temperatures probably dropping back a bit as well on Sunday. We'll start to lose that southwesterly southerly feed and replace it with cooler air mass from the northern Atlantic. So I think temperatures in the south probably up to around 15 or 16. In the north, probably just around 11 or 12. A cooler, fresher feel on Sunday. And finally, we go through into Monday, trying to build a little bit of a ridge from the south, but it's still low pressure in control. So Monday probably starts off dry, maybe quite chilly, and then clouds bubble up. There'll be widespread showers breaking out on Monday afternoon. Some of them will be heavy and thundery, possibly merging into longer spells of rain. Temperatures probably somewhere between around 10 and 15 Celsius. So we end the 5 days on a slightly cooler note. Finally, have a look at the charts from the weather outlook. It'll be very unsettled coming up in the next few days. So for today, we've got that persistent rain clearing away to the east, and then we're going to replace it with showers, particularly across England and Wales. Some of them will be heavy and possibly even a little bit thundery. Tomorrow, it's cloud outbreaks of rain in the north and west. The south and southeast gets the driest and brightest of the weather. That rain may be pushing in towards the southeast by Thursday evening. Friday, I think we start off with a fair amount of dry weather, but there'll be cloud and rain pushing in from the west during the course of the day. Some of that will be quite heavy, and that leads into a fairly wet start as we go through into Saturday with outbreaks of rain across many parts of the country. It'll be on and off through much of the day, probably turning a bit drier for a time, but then coming back from the south and west later in the day. Sunday, we've got more outbreaks of rain through the country with showers as well, so very unsettled conditions over the weekend. When we get through into Monday, it's a case of showers and longer spells of rain. Most temperatures, after being quite warm through most of the 5 days, are actually tending to ease back as we go through into the start of next week. So in summary, well, it's going to be a really unsettled 5 days coming up. Basically, it's a case of showers and longer spells of rain, with bands of rain moving in off the Atlantic and showers in between. Temperatures starting off warm, but generally cooling a bit as we get through into the start of next week. That's our 5 days. So looking over the next 5 days, later on, we'll have a look at the next 40 days with the Bayesian Climate Centre. So come back for that. That's all now. Thanks for watching.